The crystal chandelier catches the red wine mid-air. It moves in slow motion, a crimson arc cutting through the glittering chaos of Hollywood's most exclusive party. The liquid catches the light. For a split second, it looks like rubies suspended in time. Beautiful, deadly. Then, it hits white fur. Not just any white fur, Marilyn Monroe's white fur coat. The one every woman in America has seen in magazine spreads. The one that costs more than a house in the San Fernando Valley. The one that, right now, is being destroyed by 12 ounces of Chateau Margaux 1947. The stain spreads like blood across snow. The young waitress freezes. Her tray, silver, heavy, borrowed from the hotel's presidential suite, clatters to the marble floor. The sound echoes like a gunshot. Crystal shatters. Red wine pools around her feet, seeping into the grout between Italian tiles that were imported stone by stone from a monastery in Tuscany. The ballroom goes silent. Not gradually, not politely, all at once. 300 conversations die mid-sentence. 300 guests, studio executives, Oscar winners, gossip columnists, starlets, politicians, mob-connected producers, turn to stare. The girl's name is Clara. She's 19. She's wearing a black uniform that's too tight in the shoulders and too loose in the waist, because it belonged to the girl who worked here before her. The girl who got fired for showing up late, twice. Clara's hands are shaking. Not from fear, not yet. From exhaustion. She worked a double shift yesterday at the diner on Sunset. Her mother's chemotherapy isn't cheap. Neither is the morphine her mother needs to sleep through the night without screaming. The hotel manager appears. His name is Vincent Garrett. He's 52. He's worked at the Roosevelt for 26 years. He's survived 3 ownership changes, 2 fires, and countless scandals. He did not survive them by being kind. He grabs Clara's arm. Hard, hard enough to bruise. Hard enough that she'll find purple fingerprints on her bicep when she undresses tonight. You clumsy little. He doesn't finish the sentence. He doesn't need to. His voice carries across the ballroom, sharp, theatrical, designed to make an example, designed to show everyone watching that he's handling it, that the Roosevelt Hotel maintains standards. Clara tries to speak. Her mouth opens. Nothing comes out. Her mascara, cheap from the drugstore, already running because she's been crying in the service corridor for the past 20 minutes, starts to streak down her cheeks. She looks younger than 19 now. She looks 16, 15. She looks like every girl who ever got humiliated in public and had nowhere to hide. Garrett's face turns purple. The vein in his temple pulses. He yanks her toward the exit, past tables of people who watch with the detached curiosity of Romans at the Colosseum. Do you have any idea what you've just done? That coat is worth more than you'll make in 5 years. You're fired. Get your things and get out. Clara stumbles. Her heel, borrowed from her roommate half a size too small, catches on the edge of a Persian rug. She's about to fall, about to collapse onto the marble and complete her humiliation, about to become the story these people tell at parties for the next decade. Remember that waitress who destroyed Marilyn Monroe's coat and then fell flat on her face? Then a hand catches her, soft, steady, covered in white lace gloves that smell like Chanel No. 5 and cigarette smoke. The room seems to hold its breath. Marilyn Monroe stands up. She's still wearing the ruined coat. The wine is still dripping, leaving a trail of crimson drops on the floor like breadcrumbs in a fairy tale. But she's smiling. That smile, the one that launched 1,000 magazine covers. The one that makes men stupid and women envious. The one that hides more pain than most people experience in a lifetime. She looks at Vincent Garrett, doesn't blink, doesn't waver. To understand how the most famous woman in the world ended up giving away a $10,000 coat to a stranger, we have to go back. The Roosevelt Hotel's lobby smells like old money and new perfume. The marble floors gleam under chandeliers that were installed when Charlie Chaplin still made movies. The walls are lined with photographs of stars who stayed here, some of them still alive, most of them not. Outside on Hollywood Boulevard, a black Cadillac Eldorado pulls up to the red carpet. The door doesn't open immediately. Inside, Marilyn Monroe sits in the back seat, staring at her reflection in the compact mirror. She's reapplying her lipstick for the 3rd time, not because it needs it, because her hands need something to do. Her driver, a man named Eddie, who's worked for her for 2 years, and knows when to talk and when to stay silent, glances in the rearview mirror. Miss Monroe, they're waiting. Marilyn snaps the compact shut, takes a breath, puts on the smile. I know, Eddie, I know. She steps out of the car at exactly 9:07 p.m., late, always late. But tonight, it's strategic. Arrive too early, and you're desperate. Arrive on time, and you're forgettable. Arrive late, and you're Marilyn Monroe. The photographers go insane. Flashbulbs explode like mortar fire. Reporters shout questions she won't answer. Security guards form a human wall between her and the crowd that's gathered behind velvet ropes. Housewives, teenagers, sailors on leave, everyone hoping for a glimpse. She waves, blows a kiss, gives them the wall. But the real reason people can't look away isn't the platinum hair, or the red lips, or the way her dress moves. It's the coat, pure white mink, floor length, with a collar that frames her face like a Renaissance painting. It catches every camera flash and throws the light back like armor. It's a gift from Joe DiMaggio. They divorced 2 years ago. The marriage lasted 9 months. She hasn't spoken to him since the day she signed the papers in a lawyer's office in downtown LA, where he sat across from her and cried, actually cried, while she stared at the wall and felt nothing. But she kept the coat, not because she still loves him. She doesn't. She's not even sure she ever did. Joe wanted a housewife. She wanted to be taken seriously. Those two things, it turned out, were incompatible. She kept the coat because when she wears it she feels safe, like armor, like a force field, like maybe, just maybe, the world can't touch her if she's wrapped in something that expensive. She's wrong, of course, but tonight she needs to believe it. Inside, the grand ballroom is a cathedral of wealth. The ceiling is 30 feet high, painted with cherubs and clouds that were commissioned in 1927 by a studio executive, who died broke 3 years later. The chandeliers are Venetian glass, shipped from Murano in crates lined with velvet. The carpet is Persian, hand-woven, worth more than most people's cars. Tables are arranged in concentric circles around a central dance floor. Each table seats 10. Each seat cost $500. The money officially goes to the Motion Picture Relief Fund. Unofficially, it goes to making sure that everyone who matters knows you can afford to be here. Table 1, the table closest to the stage, the table with the best view, the table that says "I am more important than you," without saying anything at all, is reserved for Marilyn. She glides through the crowd. Every eye follows her. Conversations pause mid-sentence. Women study her dress, her hair, her makeup, cataloging every detail to dissect later. Men stare with the kind of hunger they're usually better at hiding. Marilyn smiles at everyone, trusts no one. She's learned the hard way in Hollywood kindness is currency, and she's almost bankrupt. She takes her seat. The chair is gilded, uncomfortable, designed to look good in photographs, not to be sat in for 3 hours. To her right, Darren Whitmore, a director who just won an Oscar for a war movie he didn't actually write. He's 48, married. His hand is already on her knee under the table. To her left, Constance Merrick, the wife of a studio executive. She's wearing emeralds that look real because they are. She hasn't stopped staring at Marilyn's coat since she sat down. Across the table, Victor Lang, a producer with rumored mob connections and confirmed cocaine habits. He's explaining loudly why Italian neorealism is ruining American cinema. No one at this table likes each other. They're all here because being here means something, means you've made it, means you matter. Marilyn orders champagne, Dom Perignon, 1947. She doesn't drink it. She never does. Alcohol makes her sloppy, and she can't afford to be sloppy. Not here, not ever. But it's easier to hold something. Gives her hands a purpose. Gives her a reason not to touch anyone back. A waiter appears. Young, nervous. He pours her champagne with shaking hands. Spills 3 drops on the tablecloth. Apologizes profusely. Marilyn touches his wrist. It's okay, honey. We all have bad nights. He looks at her like she just saved his life. Maybe she did. She knows what happens to people who make mistakes here. She's watched it happen. Hell, she's been it. The waiter leaves. Darren Whitmore leans in close. His breath smells like scotch and ambition. You're too kind to these people, Marilyn. They'll take advantage. She doesn't look at him, just sips her champagne. Doesn't swallow. Maybe, but at least I'll be able to sleep at night. Meanwhile, 3 floors down, in the service corridor that runs beneath the grand ballroom like a vein beneath skin, Clara Martinez ties her apron strings for the 4th time. Her hands won't stop shaking. She's 19 years old. She's been working at the Roosevelt Hotel for 6 weeks. This is the first time she's been assigned to the VIP section, the room where senators drink with starlets, where studio heads make deals that will echo through the industry for decades, where one mistake can end your career before it begins. Her supervisor made that very clear. Vincent Garrett is a small man who learned early that volume compensates for height. He's standing in front of her now, inspecting her uniform like a drill sergeant reviewing troops. Don't look them in the eye, he says. Don't speak unless spoken to. Don't linger at table. And for God's sake, don't spill anything. Clara nods. She's too tired to be nervous. Almost. She worked a double shift yesterday at Mel's Diner on Sunset Boulevard, 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., then 4 p.m. to midnight. Came home to find her mother awake, crying, because the morphine hadn't kicked in yet and the pain was so bad she'd bitten through her lower lip. Clara held her mother's hand until the drugs worked, cleaned the blood off her chin, changed her nightgown, fell asleep on the floor beside the bed because she was too exhausted to walk to her own room, woke up at 5:30 a.m. to do it all again. Her mother has stage 4 cervical cancer. The doctors give her 6 months, maybe less. The bills are astronomical. Insurance covers some of it, not enough. That's why Clara's here, why she picked up this second job, why she's wearing a uniform that doesn't fit and shoes that hurt, and a smile that feels like it's been painted on with a trowel. She needs this job, needs it the way drowning people need air. Garrett hands her a tray, silver, heavy. 12 glasses of red wine arranged in a perfect grid. Table 1, he says. Marilyn Monroe's table. Do not mess this up. Clara takes the tray. It's heavier than she expected. Her arms are tired. Everything's tired. She walks toward the service elevator. Her reflection catches in a mirror, on the wall. She barely recognizes herself. When did she start looking so old? When did the circles under her eyes get so dark? The elevator rises. Her stomach drops. The grand ballroom is overwhelming. The noise hits her first. 300 people talking, laughing, shouting to be heard over the orchestra that's playing Cole Porter in the corner. The heat comes next. Bodies pressed together, perfume mixing with cigarette smoke, and spilled champagne, and the particular musk of wealth. Clara weaves through the crowd. The tray feels like it weighs 100 pounds. Her arms are burning. She can't put it down, can't take a break, can't show weakness. Table 1 is 50 feet away, 40, 30. She can see Marilyn Monroe now, the blonde hair, the white coat, the way she sits with perfect posture, even though she looks exhausted. Clara wonders if Marilyn ever gets tired, if movie stars are allowed to be tired. 20 feet. A studio executive steps backward. He doesn't look, doesn't check, doesn't. He's arguing with someone about overseas distribution rights, gesturing wildly with a lit cigarette, too important to pay attention to service staff. His elbow catches Clara's shoulder. Not hard, just enough. The tray tilts. Physics takes over. Later, Clara will try to explain what happened next. She'll fail, because it happens too fast, and too slow at the same time. The tray leaves her hand. 12 glasses of Chateau Margaux 1947 wine that cost $200 a bottle, wine that's older than Clara, wine that was served at Winston Churchill's birthday party, launch into the air. They don't fall all at once. They separate, scatter, like a flock of birds startled by a gunshot. Most of them hit the floor. Crystal shatters. Wine explodes across marble like a crime scene. A woman in a Dior gown screams as red liquid splashes across her hem. But one glass, one perfect, cursed malevolent glass, arcs through the air with ballistic precision. It tumbles end over end. The wine inside streams out like a comet's tail. The chandelier light catches it, turns it into liquid rubies. It's beautiful. For one impossible second it's the most beautiful thing in the room. Then it hits Marilyn Monroe's coat. The white mink absorbs the wine like a sponge. The stain spreads. Fast, hungry, unstoppable. It starts at the shoulder, blooms across the chest, drips down toward the hem. Within seconds, the coat looks like it's been shot. The ballroom goes silent. Not the polite silence of a pause in conversation. The hostile silence of a predator spotting prey. 300 pairs of eyes turn toward Clara. 300 people suddenly very glad they're not her. Clara can't move, can't breathe, can't think. Her brain has short-circuited. All she can do is stare at the destruction she's caused, at the wine spreading across fur that costs more than her mother's entire medical treatment, at Marilyn Monroe's face, frozen in an expression Clara can't read. Time stretches. Every second feels like an hour. Then Vincent Garrett appears. He manifests out of the crowd like a demon summoned by humiliation. His face is the color of a fresh bruise. The vein in his temple looks ready to burst. His eyes are wild with a fury that has nothing to do with the coat, and everything to do with his reputation. He crosses the space between them, in 3 strides, grabs Clara's wrist. His fingers dig into her skin hard enough to hurt, hard enough to leave marks she'll carry for a week. You stupid clumsy little. His voice isn't just loud, it's theatrical, designed to make sure everyone in this ballroom knows that Vincent Garrett does not tolerate incompetence,
that the Roosevelt Hotel maintains standards, that he's handling this. Clara tries to speak. Her mouth opens. No sound comes out. Her throat has closed. Her eyes are burned. She's crying now. Full, ugly mascara running tears that she can't control. She's 19. She looks 12. Do you have any idea what you've just done? Garrett's getting louder, feeding off the attention. He yanks Clara toward the exit, past tables of people who watch with the detached fascination of spectators at a car crash. That coat is worth more than you'll make in 5 years. You're fired. Get your things, and get out. And you can forget about any references. No one in this city will ever hire you again. The words hit Clara like physical blows. She stumbles. Her heel catches on the edge of a Persian rug, hand-woven, worth more than her mother's car. She's about to fall, about to complete her humiliation by collapsing onto the marble floor in front of Hollywood royalty. She can already hear the laughter, can already imagine tomorrow's gossip, can already see her mother's face when she comes home and admits she lost both jobs in one night. Then a hand catches her. Steady, impossibly gentle. The hand is covered in white lace gloves. They smell like Chanel No. 5 and something else. Something sadder, lonelier. The room holds its breath. Marilyn Monroe stands up. She moves with the kind of grace that seems effortless, but every movement is practiced, perfected, the product of 1,000 hours in front of mirrors and cameras, and cruel directors who told her she'd never make it. She's still wearing the ruined coat. The wine is still dripping, leaving a trail of crimson drops on the floor. Each drop costs more than Clara makes in a day, but Marilyn's smiling, not the public smile, not the movie star smile, something smaller, something real. She looks at Vincent Garrett, doesn't speak immediately, just holds his gaze. 3 seconds, 5. Long enough for the power dynamic to shift, long enough for everyone watching to understand who's really in control here. When she finally speaks, her voice is soft, almost gentle, but it carries. Let her go. Vincent Garrett's grip loosens, not because he wants to, because Marilyn Monroe just gave him a direct order in front of 300 witnesses, because defying her would be a career-ending miscalculation, because everyone in this room knows that Marilyn has more power than any hotel manager ever will. He releases Clara's wrist, reluctant like a dog, letting go of a bone, but he's not done yet. His pride is wounded. He needs to save face. Miss Monroe, with all due respect, this is a hotel matter. We have protocols. I don't care about your protocols. Marilyn's voice is still soft, still controlled, but there's steel underneath, the kind of strength that comes from years of fighting studio executives, and directors, and photographers, and every man who ever thought he owned her. She steps between Garrett and Clara, physically, protectively. The crowd leans forward. This is better than the movie they came here to celebrate. This is real. Marilyn looks at Clara now, really looks at her, not the way people usually look at service staff, that eyes sliding past glance that says you're not quite human to me. She sees Clara, the exhaustion, the fear, the cheap mascara running down her cheeks, the borrowed uniform, the desperate terror of someone who just lost everything, and she recognizes it, because Marilyn's been there, maybe not in this ballroom, but in 100 places, just like it. She's been the girl people look through, the girl who doesn't matter, the girl one bad night away from disaster. She reaches out, touches Clara's face, wipes away a tear with her thumb. What's your name, honey? Clara's voice comes out in a whisper. Clara, Clara, Clara. Marilyn repeats it like she's memorizing it, like it mattered. That's a beautiful name. Then she does something no one expects. She reaches up, unclasps the coat, the ruined wine-stained, $10,000 coat that every woman in America would kill to own, and she drapes it over Clara's shoulders. The ballroom gasps, actually gasps. Someone drops a champagne flute. A photographer's flash goes off. Once, twice, 3 times. Tomorrow's newspapers are writing themselves. Clara's eyes go wide. She tries to step back, tries to refuse, tries to do anything except this impossible gift. Miss Monroe, I can't. This is, sure you can. Marilyn's smiling now, that real smile again, the one that doesn't hide anything. It looks better on you anyway, but the wine, it's just wine. It'll come out. Marilyn's lying. They both know it. Wine doesn't come out of white mink, but that's not the point. And honestly, I never liked this coat. That's a lie too, but it's the kind of lie that makes the truth easier to swallow. Marilyn leans in close. close enough that only Clara can hear. Her voice drops to a whisper, the most famous voice in America, speaking words meant for an audience of one. Listen to me, sweetheart. I've been where you are. Maybe not exactly, but close enough. I've been the girl who couldn't afford to make a mistake. The girl who needed the job so badly she couldn't breathe. The girl everyone looked through, like she was invisible. She pauses, makes sure Clara's listening, but you're not invisible, and you're not disposable. You're a person, and people are worth more than things, even expensive things. Clara's crying harder now, not from shame, from something else. Something that feels like hope even though she doesn't dare name it. Marilyn straightens up, turns to face Vincent Garrett. The smile's gone. Her voice is harder now. Public. Meant to be heard. She's not fired. Miss Monroe, the coat alone. I'll buy you 10 coats. I'll buy you 100. But she keeps her job. Garrett's face cycles through colors. Red, purple, white. He's trapped. Firing Clara now would be defying Marilyn Monroe in front of witnesses. His career wouldn't survive it. But Marilyn's not done. And if you have a problem with that, Mr. Garrett, I suggest you take it up with Daryl Zanuck. I'm sure he'd be very interested to hear how the Roosevelt Hotel treats young women, especially since he has 3 daughters around her age. The threat lands like a bomb. Daryl Zanuck is the head of 20th Century. He's one of the most powerful men in Hollywood, and everyone knows Marilyn's the only star who can get away with threatening him, because she makes the studio too much money, because she's too valuable to punish. Garrett swallows, nods, backs away like a scolded dog. Marilyn turns back to Clara. Her expression softens again. She touches Clara's cheek one more time, gently, the way you'd touch something precious. Go home, honey. Hug your mother. Tell her Marilyn Monroe says she raised a good daughter. Clara can't speak, can only nod. The coat weighs almost nothing on her shoulders, but feels like it weighs everything.
She walks toward the exit. Every eye in the room follows her. But the stares feel different now. Less predatory, more confused. Conflicted, because Marilyn Monroe just rewritten the script. Just turned a public humiliation into something else entirely. Just proved that kindness, in a city built on cruelty, is the most radical act imaginable. Marilyn walks back to her table, sits down in her black cocktail dress. Oscar de la Renta, borrowed from the studio, due back Monday morning. She's cold now without the coat. The ballroom's air conditioning feels like ice. But she's smiling. The director beside her, Darren Whitmore, the one with the wandering hands, leans over. His voice is quiet, almost awed. That was a $10,000 coat. Marilyn picks up her champagne. Still doesn't drink it, just holds it. It was just fur. She looks at him, really looks at him. She's a person. Darren doesn't have a response to that. Neither does anyone else at the table. Across the ballroom, the orchestra starts playing again. Conversations resume. The spell breaks. In 10 minutes, people will be arguing about movies and politics and affairs like nothing happened. But something did happen. And the photograph, the one of Marilyn draping the coat over Clara's shoulders, will run on the front page of the Los Angeles Times tomorrow morning. The headline, Monroe's $10,000 gesture. The world will talk about it for a day, maybe 2. Then they'll move on to the next scandal, the next starlet, the next tragedy. But Clara won't forget, and neither will Marilyn. The story hits every newspaper in Los Angeles, not just the front page of the Times, the Herald, the Examiner, the Daily News, even the Hollywood Reporter, which usually only covers industry news, runs it above the fold. Monroe gives coat off her back to waitress. Hollywood's heart of gold. The kindness that stopped a party. Marilyn's publicist calls at 7 a.m. She's thrilled. This is amazing press, Marilyn. Amazing. We couldn't have planned it better if we tried. Marilyn hangs up without responding. She doesn't want to talk about it, doesn't want to do interviews or photo shoots, or any of the circus that follows these things, because the moment it becomes publicity, it stops being real, stops being hers. She lies in bed for 3 more hours, stares at the ceiling, thinks about Clara, wonders if she's okay, wonders if the coat was enough, wonders if kindness ever really changes anything, or if it's just a gesture that makes the person giving it feel better. She doesn't have answers. At noon, a messenger arrives. He's carrying a letter. Handwritten. The paper is cheap. The handwriting is shaky. Dear Miss Monroe, I don't know how to say this except to say it. You saved my life last night. Not just my job, my life. My mother has cancer. Stage 4. She has maybe 6 months left. I've been working 2 jobs trying to pay for her treatment. When I lost the Roosevelt job, I thought that was it. I thought I'd have to tell her we couldn't afford the morphine anymore, that she'd have to suffer. I don't know why you helped me. I'm nobody, just another girl trying to survive. But you saw me, and that means more than the job, more than anything. Thank you doesn't feel like enough, but it's all I have. Thank you. Clara Martinez. Marilyn reads it 3 times, folds it carefully, puts it in her nightstand drawer, where she keeps the letters that matter. Then she cries, not the pretty movie star cry, the ugly, gasping, snotty cry of someone who's been holding it together for so long they forgot what it feels like to break. She cries because Clara's letter reminds her of who she used to be, the girl before Marilyn Monroe, the girl named Norma Jean, who grew up in foster homes and orphanages, the girl who never had enough food or safety or love. She cries because she knows what it's like to be invisible, and she cries because even now, even with all the fame and money and power, she still feels invisible most of the time. The world sees Marilyn Monroe, the icon, the sex symbol, the dumb blonde. But who sees Norma Jean? Not many people. Maybe no one, except apparently, a 19-year-old waitress, who wrote her a thank you note on cheap paper. Clara keeps the coat for 12 weeks. She hangs it in her closet carefully, reverently, wrapped in the plastic bag it came in from the hotel's coat check. She doesn't wear it, doesn't even touch it most days, just looks at it sometimes when she needs to remember that kindness is real. But her mother's bills keep coming. The chemo isn't working. The cancer's spreading. The doctors use words like palliative care and comfort measures, and end-of-life planning. Clara needs money more than she needs a coat. She calls an auction house in Beverly Hills. They nearly drop the phone when she tells them what she's selling. Marilyn Monroe's white mink coat, the one from the Roosevelt incident. Ma'am, do you have any idea what that's worth? She does, until the auction. The bidding starts at $5,000. Within 30 seconds, it's at $8,000. A collector from New York, a museum in Europe, a studio executive, who wants it for his mistress. Final price, $8,000. Clara stares at the check. It's more money than she's ever seen. Enough to pay for her mother's remaining treatment. Enough to cover the funeral costs when the time comes. Enough to pay for Clara's first year of tuition at UCLA, where she's been accepted to study social work. She uses every penny. Her mother dies 4 months later, peacefully, pain-free, with her daughter holding her hand. At the funeral, Clara wears a simple black dress. No jewelry, no makeup. She looks exhausted but somehow lighter, like a weight she's been carrying has finally been set down. After everyone leaves, she sits alone in the cemetery, stares at the fresh dirt over her mother's grave, thinks about Marilyn Monroe, wonders if she knows, if she understands what that coat really meant, what it became. Not a gesture, not publicity, but a lifeline. Clara whispers, "Thank you." The wind carries it away. Marilyn Monroe is found dead in her bedroom in Brentwood. The official cause, acute barbiturate poisoning, probable suicide. The world mourns. Magazine covers, television specials, thousands of fans gathering outside her home, presidents and poets writing eulogies. But most of them never knew her. Not really. They knew the image, the icon, the myth. The funeral is private, invitation only. Studio executives, famous friends, ex-husbands, people who knew Marilyn Monroe the celebrity, and one woman who wasn't on the list. Her name is Anna Martinez. She's 63. She's wearing a white mink coat that's been cleaned and restored and preserved, like a holy relic. Security tries to stop her at the gate. She shows them a letter, handwritten 6 years old, signed by Marilyn Monroe. It says, "Clara, if you ever need anything, you call me." I mean it. We girls have to look out for each other. They let her in. Anna walks to the closed casket, places a single red rose on top, the same color as the wine that started everything. She whispers something no one else can hear. "My daughter wanted to be here. She couldn't make it. She's in Guatemala right now, working with an organization that helps women escape domestic violence. She learned that from you, Miss Monroe, learned that kindness matters, that people matter more than things." She pauses. Her voice cracks. Clara named her daughter Norma Jean.
She's 3 years old now, beautiful, kind, just like you. Anna touches the casket, gently. Thank you for saving my daughter. Thank you for seeing her when everyone else looked away. Thank you for being the kind of person the world didn't deserve. She steps back, wipes her eyes, walks away. No one knows who she was. No one asks. She's just another mourner in a crowd of hundreds. But she was there, and that matters. The world remembers Marilyn Monroe for a lot of things. The white dress blowing up over a subway grate, the breathy voice, the scandals, the affairs with presidents, the tragic death at 36. The movies, of course. Some like it hot. Gentlemen prefer blondes. The 7-Year Itch. The photographs. Thousands of them. Marilyn laughing. Marilyn pouting. Marilyn looking vulnerable and sexy and unattainable all at once. They remember her as a sex symbol, a troubled genius, a victim of Hollywood's cruelty, a cautionary tale about fame and beauty and mental illness. All of those things are true, but they're not the whole truth. Because here's what doesn't make the documentaries. Marilyn Monroe gave away her coat to a waitress, and that waitress used it to save her mother's life. And that mother lived long enough to see her daughter graduate from college, and that daughter became a social worker who spent 40 years helping women in crisis, women fleeing abusive husbands, women struggling with addiction, women who couldn't afford rent or food or hope. Clara Martinez helped thousands of people, literally thousands, and every single one of them exists because Marilyn Monroe decided that a person mattered more than a coat. Clara's daughter, Norma Jane Martinez, is 28 years old now. She's a doctor, specializes in oncology, specifically cervical cancer. She never met Marilyn Monroe, never even saw her in person, but she knows the story. Her mother told her, again and again, and every time she treats a patient who can't afford care, every time she waives a fee, or works an extra shift, or sits with someone who's dying and scared, she thinks, what would Marilyn do? Not the Marilyn from the movies, not the icon, but the woman who saw a terrified girl in a ballroom and decided that kindness mattered more than reputation. In 2019, Clara Martinez gives an interview to a documentary filmmaker. She's 79 years old, white hair, soft voice, eyes that still light up when she talks about that night. People ask me if it really happened, she says. If Marilyn really gave me that coat, and I tell them yes. It happened exactly the way the newspapers said, except it was bigger than they made it sound. More important. How so? Because she didn't just give me a coat. She gave me permission to believe that I mattered, that my life had value, that people like me, poor girls working 2 jobs trying to survive, deserve to be seen. She pauses, wipes her eye, and once you believe that about yourself, you start believing it about other people, and that changes everything. Do you still think about her? Every day. Clara smiles. Every single day. If you could talk to her now, what would you say? Clara doesn't hesitate. I'd say thank you. Thank you for being kind when you didn't have to be. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for teaching me that the most powerful thing we can do is treat each other like we matter. And I'd tell her that the coat didn't just save my mother. It saved me, and through me it saved thousands of other people. So that $10,000 coat, it's worth more than $10,000. It's worth more than anything, because it wasn't a coat. It was a choice. And Marilyn chose kindness. So here's the truth about Marilyn Monroe. Yes, she was beautiful. Yes, she was tragic. Yes, she died too young, and left behind questions that will never be answered. But she was also this, a woman who gave away her most expensive possession to a stranger, because it was the right thing to do. A woman who understood what it felt like to be invisible, and refused to let someone else feel that way. A woman who chose humanity over Hollywood. And maybe that's the legacy that matters most. Not the movies, not the scandals, not the conspiracy theories, but the coat, the girl, the moment she decided that kindness was more important than keeping up appearances. Because that moment rippled outward, like a stone thrown into water, like a seed planted in soil. That moment became Clara's life, Clara's daughter's life, the thousands of women they helped. That moment is still rippling outward, right now, today, and it will keep rippling long after everyone who remembers Marilyn Monroe is gone, because kindness doesn't die, it multiplies. Marilyn Monroe died in 1960. If you want to hear more untold stories about Hollywood's biggest icons, the moments that didn't make the movies but changed everything, subscribe, because the real history isn't what they put on screen, it's what happened when the cameras turned off.